These are the top 10 best talents in Paladins, in my opinion, obviously. Now there's a lot of champions in Paladins, so picking the top 10 is actually a little bit more difficult than I thought. But at the end of the day, I managed to get 10 of the best talents. So the way I pick these talents is that how strong have they been for the longest time? Have these talents been strong for like weeks and months, maybe even years? Are they like the best talent for the characters? And that's how I'm gonna be picking these talents. And of course, keep in mind that this is only my opinion, and this is not gonna be in particular order. It doesn't mean the number 1 is better than number 10, and let's see if you guys can agree with it. And also, I'm gonna be getting at least 2 talents for each role, so you know, this is a little bit more fair. The first best talent in my opinion is Storm Bullets. Let's be honest, every time you play Con, this is the talent you usually go for. You don't really go for the other talents because this is just his best talent. You just do so much more damage with this talent, and I feel like if you don't go for this talent, you're just throwing the game. The Lian shield, for example, is honestly, I don't see people using this talent, so yeah, you're actually throwing the game. Vortex Grip, it sounds good on paper, but you can just easily buy Unbound, and it's kind of countered already. Thermal Bullets, you have nothing to counter this. The only way you can counter this is by avoiding Con, and that's basically it. If you use this talent, you're basically like a semi-tank, semi-damage. Number 9 in the list is gonna be Royal Subjects. They actually reworked this talent. For those people who don't know, it used to be like I think it's increasing your explosive. They reworked it to this, where you can basically have 2 poppy bombs. Guess what? It's still his best talent, so it's always been his best talent. His other talent, like Chain Reaction, I mean, it's very situational in my opinion. Accelerant, in the other hand, it's actually good, but at the same time, you can easily just counter it as well with the Unbound. To be fair, you can also counter Royal Subjects with Unbound, but it doesn't really counter the way you have 2 of this. You're basically like a semi-flank and damage at the same time. You can escape a lot easier, you can even initiate a lot easier. Like, you can do so much more with this talent. Number 8 is gonna be Measured Cadence. Again, in my opinion, this is Caspian's best talent. Now, I wasn't actually planning to put Caspian here because he is quite new, so his talents are not really like they're like the best ones of all time, so not really. But I decided to put him here because I feel like this is his only viable talent, and I feel like if you don't really go for this talent for Caspian, you're kinda trolling. I mean, the other ones are actually not that bad, but I feel like Measured Cadence is just way too good to pass on. Basically, what this does is every time you use your like little gun on Caspian, it basically fires additionally, so you're basically shooting, you know, twice, and this thing deals 400 damage, and it's also reducing Rogue's Tempo's cooldown by 15%. Again, his other talents are actually not bad, but with this talent you can just play so much better. You do more damage. Not only you're doing more damage, but you can also spam your Rogue's Tempo a lot more. Number 7 in the list is gonna be Murderous Intent. You could argue like, but Kirbs, did you forget about Curse Accord? This is like, you know, better as a support. I mean, yes and no. You actually cannot go wrong with any of her talents. In my opinion, all of her talents are actually viable. You can go for Curse Accord and you should be fine. You can go for the Maelstrom of Carnage and you should be fine as well. But I feel like if you're a really good Lilith player, playing Murderous Intent is just way better in my opinion. It is a lot harder to use, that's why you probably won't see a lot of people using this talent. But you can literally ask any Lilith players and they will say Murderous Intent is actually a lot better than you think. Not only is increasing your damage, it's also pretty good for heals. It is hard to use, but you cannot go wrong with it. Number 6 in the list is gonna be Maeve's Cat Burglar. After all these years, Cat Burglar is still one of her best talents. Yet again, kind of like Lilith, you cannot really go wrong with any of her talents. I mean, they did nerf her shit just as it's not as good as before, but I feel like her talents are actually, they're not that bad. I feel like you're not throwing the game if you're using them. With Cat Burglar though, you cannot go wrong with this. You can use this at any point of the game. It doesn't matter what comp they have, Cat Burglar will always be good. Take Rogue's Gambit for example. In my opinion, this is my favorite talent for Maeve, but you cannot really use this talent if they have like very tanky or like very supportive characters. For example, they have like Atlas and Fernando. You cannot really do anything with Rogue's Gambit, especially if they have like 2 supports. It's gonna be way harder to kill anyone. With Cat Burglar, on the other hand, it doesn't matter what comp they have. You will always do really well with this talent. Obviously, if you can land your knives, if you cannot, then GG. That sounds like a skill issue. Number 5 on the list is gonna be Fernando Scorch. Now, I was actually planning to pick Aegis over here. Aegis? Aegis. Is it Aegis or Aegis? I suck at English. Anyways, yeah, I was actually gonna pick this one, but this used to be his best talent, but they just completely reworked it. And I mean, it's still decent, but in my opinion, Scorch is now way better. With Scorch, you can be a tank and also do enough damage. Back then, you're just a tank as Fernando. You're just a tank. You don't really do a lot of damage. All you do is like shield for your allies and also, you know, save them with your ultimate. But nowadays, with Fernando, you can actually do a little bit more damage. And I just want to say that all of these talents are actually really good. You cannot really go wrong with any of these talents in my opinion. You can go for Formidable, but in my opinion, Scorch is just up there. It's just way better. Number 4 in the list is gonna be Drogo's Combustible. In my opinion, this talent is just way too good and way too annoying. Again, you cannot really go wrong with any of his talents. I'm not sure about this one. I don't see it as much anymore, but it's still usable. It's not like you're throwing the game if you're using it. But in my opinion, this talent is just, bro, it's just so good. It deals more damage and it's applying knockback. You just cannot go wrong with this talent. It's annoying, it deals a lot of damage, you just cannot go wrong with it. Number 3 in the list is gonna be Furious Solar Blessing. Now, in my opinion, this is actually her best talent. Cherish is kind of meh nowadays. It's like, I mean, it's decent, but it's not that good compared to Solar Blessing. Solar Blessing is just way better in my opinion. The amount of heals this does is insane. It doesn't matter if it's like 90% anti-healing. You will still be healing so much with this talent. Although it is definitely a lot harder to use than Cherish, for example. And if your teammates are kind of brain dead and they don't stand on the beam, then yeah, it's not the best talent, I guess. But if your teammates are actually, you know, they have brain cells and they actually stand on the beam, then this talent is actually really good. In my opinion, this is definitely the best support talent. Number 2 in the list is gonna be Inara's Mother's Grace. Let's be honest, Mother's Grace has always been one of her best talents. Tremors is like fun, you know. I used this to have fun as Inara and, you know, playing flanker, I guess. This one is also, I mean, if you want to be annoying to flankers, it sounds good, but you can easily counter it. Mother's Grace, on the other hand, it's always been so good. And mind you, this talent got nerfed already, and it's still really strong. The fact that you have damage reduction for 10% and getting immunity of CCs is just insane. You know Sarah's ultimate when she puts them all together? Yeah, that doesn't really work on you. Literally any slows, any stuns, any cripples, they don't work on you. This talent is just way too strong, even if it got nerfed. It's insane. In my opinion, it's definitely one of the best tank talents in my opinion. Now, number 1 in the list is gonna be Eevee Snow Globe. This talent is just way too annoying. Basically, what this talent does is that you basically get two ultimates as Eevee. And the thing is, it's not even worth countering this talent because it's like the damage is like constantly. So trying to counter this talent, it doesn't even work that well. A really good Eevee player with Snow Globe can dominate the game. Of course, you cannot really go wrong with any of her talents as well. Wormhole is like really fun in my opinion. Over the Moon is definitely a lot harder to use, but it can definitely still work if you know how to play Eevee. But Snow Globe, you can literally go behind, kill the support with Snow Globe really easily, and then as soon as they spawn, you can ult them again. This talent is way too annoying and way too strong in my opinion. So guys, do you guys agree with my top 10 best talents in Paladins? And again, obviously this is just my opinion. It's actually very difficult to make this video because there's so many characters in Paladins that has good talents. This is a lot harder than it looks, I'll be honest. But of course, keep in mind that this is only my opinion, but you guys can let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think is the best talent in Paladins? Well, that's it for today guys. If you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time. See ya everybody.